The humanitarian situation, as you mentioned, the war effort there at the end. I want to talk more about that now and the risk of that war expanding as Major Glenn Ignazio joins us live on the program. First of all, in Gaza itself, let's talk about Gaza. You know, we've been going through this since pretty much October 8th, you know, the day after. And, you know, what is Israel's strategy, starting in the northern part of the Gaza Strip, moving to the south now in the last few days and weeks? How do you think it's going? Do you have any sense, is Israel making the kind of progress it thought? Is Hamas putting up a bigger fight than it thought? How do you think the actual war is going in terms of Israel accomplishing its goals?
Yeah, I mean, the entire conflict is challenging. We talked about the initial push is going to be rather significant, and then we did say that it would bog down. And I believe that's what they're getting into. There's so much rubble and so much destruction in the area that Hamas isn't in, you know, they're able to hide in so many different areas, and that tunnel system is still in operation. So most of those people have pushed to the south towards Rafah. And that keeps it condensed with the population down there. But like I said, it's a full battle zone, and it's also a very destructive area for people to hide. So I believe in this area, which was boots on the ground, is one of the areas that was going to be slower and bogged down. And I believe that's what they're experiencing now.
So then what happened? So you have, I mean, the UN was literally saying there's 150,000 people with nowhere to go. And then, like you were saying, Rafah's right down by the southern border with Egypt. All these people kind of filing into the one place. You have all kinds of infrastructure being damaged, the Gaza Strip all but leveled at some point. Then what? I mean, is there a surrender? I mean, how does this all end? Where do you see it going in the new year?
Yeah, that's the best question you could say is we're talking about conflict, but it's how do you get to the peace? And that's one of the biggest issues is, you know, this is only 25 miles north to south and about 6 miles east to west, small condensed area. And so we know that there's talks going on in Egypt right now where Hamas may be coming to the table, but it has to be negotiated out. And again, this is an Israel versus Hamas thing, but the humanitarian aid is dominating the entire story, both there in the area and globally. So it has to get to some kind of negotiation to be able to stop this, because the infrastructure can be destroyed from Hamas, but you're never going to find every individual Hamas militant. And that's what they really have to face and come to agreement on.
Okay, so while they're doing that, in the meantime, there's this threat of the war expanding beyond the Gaza Strip. It already has to some extent, but I think when we say expanding, we mean an all-out war in another part of the region. So let's talk about Lebanon for a moment, because you have that border between Israel and Lebanon, and obviously that's Hezbollah. So what is the risk there? I mean, all that we hear, and you probably know better, the Hezbollah is a much tougher military opponent, if it comes to that, from what we've seen in the past than Hamas, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're 300 to 400. They're 3 to 4 times bigger. There's about 100,000 plus of just Hezbollah militants. And so since October 8th, there have been missile strikes against Israel, and there's been sort of battle for battle each and every day. So what Israel said is that if the international community can't hold Hezbollah to restrict them from attacking Israel, they're going to attack them. So mostly it's been on the border and preemptive, where they see missiles ready to launch that Israel is taking out. But if it expands, Israel is saying, hey, we're not going to take this anymore. We're going to go and we're going to strike other areas if the international community can't hold Hezbollah and Lebanon in check. So that could escalate tremendously within that area. And then we do see the attacks outside of the countries and even on maritime with Houthis and others that you've referred to.
Yeah, and that involves the United States, sometimes directly, sometimes direct responses. We'll see if that escalates in the new year at all. But what about it? Just from Israel's point of view, do they have the military capability to carry on that two-front war? I know, like you said, there's rockets going back and forth, but if it's an all-out war with Hezbollah, as well as what they're dealing with in the Gaza Strip, can they handle that militarily?
Militarily, I think from airstrikes and that air support, missiles, et cetera, from the high technology standpoint, they could sustain that with you know, against Hezbollah. So there could be airstrikes and so forth. But as far as a ground battle, that couldn't be sustained because everybody's tasked in Gaza.
Right, and you can't be in two places at once, and you'd be stretched very, very thin. So it's there are a lot of question marks going into the new year. Glenn Ignazio, thank you, sir, for coming on the show so many times this year. We appreciate it. Have a happy new year. Thanks again.